think first of all we got to execute, like you said. Third downs are very critical, and we've been talking about being better on those situations. So, really comes down to our execution, and for us, man, just keeping the one play at a time mentality, focusing on the task at hand, and then obviously going out there and making it happen.
Was the communication just not where it needs to be on third down against the Rams?
We just didn't execute. Didn't do a great job executing, especially in the second half. We just didn't get it done.
What do you take away from the second half when you look at it? The things that happened, 12 yards of total offense in the half, only no first downs except for the one being a penalty. What do you take from it?
3 possessions. I believe it was three, and went three and out, maybe one twice, I think, and then obviously, like you said, got the penalty on one. So just came down to execution, which again we didn't do a great job of. But really looking forward to, getting this next opportunity. And so I think we'll be better moving forward. Obviously, we've got to execute and do better. So, it just comes down to us being connected and making the plays when they come.
What do you feel like the psyche of the team is right now?
It's good. We're obviously 0-1 is not the way we wanted to start, but no one's hanging their head. Everyone's looking at ways to improve, and really looking forward to going on the road in a tough environment and going out there and trying to get a win. I think everyone's really focused, huge sense of urgency, and we've been practicing like it.
When it comes to the amount of times the Lions blitz, is it the frequency that they do it, or is it the scheme and the way they do it?
I think it's both. You got to be prepared for the blitz at any time, and they can dial it up whenever they want. So we got to be on top of that, and we got to communicate. Starts up front, starts with me with the protection calls and everyone being on the same page, and then obviously, getting it protected and getting the ball out.
What do you remember about the crowd noise last year at Ford Field playing in that?
Yeah, I remember it being extremely loud. They have, obviously in a dome, it's packed in, and they get loud in there. And so we know it's going to be their home opener, and they're going to be excited. And so we're expecting and planning for things like that, and we'll be ready. We'll be ready for it.
With Abe out and potentially Charles, depending on how this week goes, just how much confidence do you have in those tackles that are filling in?
Extremely confident. Those guys have played a lot for us. We know those guys. They know our system. Obviously, like I said, it's tough being thrusted into a game like last week. But, those guys, they can get the job done, and I believe they will. And it's all of our jobs to help them as well. They're not out there alone. It's all 11 on the field. And so I have the utmost confidence in those guys, and I look forward to them going out there and playing well.
What does that look like for you when you say helping them? It's up to you also. Like, what do you need to do to help them?
Yeah, just starting with communication. Like I said, just getting the calls in, making sure we're loud and clear and concise, getting the calls in, and then getting the ball out. If I have to use my legs, using my legs, just doing whatever it takes to get the first down on third downs. And then with those guys in the game, like I said, they understand our system. They've been a part of it. They know what to do, and we just got to continue to go out there and play together.
Have you crossed paths with Jason Peters in any way before this?
No, I haven't.
What are your first impressions of him?
Dude, he looks amazing. Just to be, 41, don't like to bring up guys' age, but he looks like he's ready to play. Honestly, I think he has been preparing. His body looks physically fit. He's a wily vet. He knows the game, and, it'll be cool to see him out there.
What did you think, I guess, were the issues with trying to get the ball downfield a little bit more last week?
I don't think we had any issues, really. I think it's just a case that we didn't connect. For us, we're a team, like I said, who want to have a lot of explosives. But when we did take our shots, we didn't connect. And we didn't have a bunch of shots downfield, but we had a couple. And so I would like to think that's an outlier. I think we have proven that we can connect on those, and so we just got to make it happen.
How much different do the Lions look defensively than when you played them last year?
Yeah, they have some new guys out there. They have, some different guys in the secondary, some free agent signings. They also have, obviously the guys up front, a bunch of those guys returning, a couple new linebackers out there, a couple guys they drafted. And then overall, a little bit different scheme, but not too much, and so we're expecting them to be exactly who they've shown us on tape and to have some different things as well. And, I know that Aaron Glenn is a great defense coordinator, and I know he's going to, have some things dialed up for us. And, we just got to be on top of it and communicate, like I said, and then once we get out there on the field, make the plays.
CJ Gardner-Johnson wants all the fans to wear blue ski masks to the game because they feel like they're villains and taking on that role. You ever thoughts on that?
I really don't have any thoughts on that. We expect hostile crowds everywhere we go, and so when we get to the arena, we know it's just us, and we're looking forward to banding together and going out there and making it happen.
What do you remember about the Lions game last year?
Just a shootout, just old-fashioned shootout, man, just going back and forth and, really needed to score a bunch of points to win. But it was a fun game. I feel like everyone executed, did a great job on the road, a loud environment, tough environment. They sent a bunch of blitzes at us, and we were able to handle those. So we'll see what the game plan they have for us this year. But whatever it is, we've got to be ready to, adjust and make plays. And, it is what it is with last year. It's a new season, new game, and, it's going to be fun.
What was going on with the screen passes in the first game?
Again, it comes down to execution, man. It could be one block here and there. It could be, the way I pass the ball. It could be the runner. It could be anything. It just comes down to all 11 guys executing the plan. And, like I said, we didn't have a bunch of them, but we had a couple, and just didn't work out for whatever reason. But, I look forward to, getting another opportunity because I think our guys are going to do a lot better with that.
You mentioned playing on the road, you said it's just us. Is that kind of a mentality you guys like for road games? I mean, obviously I know you like playing at home, but is there something special about being on the road when everyone's against you like that?
Yeah, it is special. It's just us. And our fans travel well. They're always in attendance and making us kind of feel at home sometimes. But when you go on the road, obviously it's going to be hostile. We know that the Lions are, they've been talking up this season for the entire offseason, and their fans are going to be excited. They won a big game last week and home opener. We expecting those guys to, really come out and show up for the team, and so we can handle that. We've been in those situations, and it's going to be a huge test for us, but we're ready for it. I believe we're ready for it.
What was Bobby's message when he spoke to you guys before the practice yesterday?
Yeah, I think Bobby did a great job at just reminding guys of who we are as a team. Whenever you have a tough loss like that, you can kind of start looking around and say, hey, what's going on? But, we got to know who we are as a team, and that's something that, we're a confident bunch, and we got to continue to remain confident and continue to play with that swagger and that energy. And so that was his huge message, is just be confident and have that energy.
What was it like having Jamal back on the practice field yesterday?
Man, you can feel him right away, man. Just his energy, his playmaking skills, the way he flies around the field. So happy for him to get back into the lineup, man. I know he's been battling back from a couple injuries, and I know, how hard it's been for him. But he stuck with it mentally and physically. And so to have, 33 back out there flying around, man, it was great. Really happy for him and excited to have him.
In all your years playing football, have you ever lost both your starting tackles in the same game?
Not that I can remember, but as you all know, man, the game can throw anything at you, and you got to be ready for it. And so we're hoping for a speedy recovery for those two guys. They're a big part of our team, but again, we got guys that are going to step up and going to do an excellent job. And so I look forward to having those guys out there.
Do you have a preference on playing on grass or turf?
Yeah, I would say grass. Grass is a lot better than turf, I think, but turf isn't terrible. It is what it is. You got to play on the surface that you go to. But, everyone likes grass, I think, as long as it's good grass. It's the nice grass.
What makes the grass better than turf?
It's just softer, a little more giving than turf. And I guess the numbers have said that, more injuries occur on turf than on grass. But I think everyone likes it. It's kind of better for your knees.
Do you feel it after an artificial turf game for the days after, just the nature of being on the turf?
I wouldn't say I feel a big difference. I think it's kind of hard to say what the exact difference is. You're going to be sore after any game, whether it's on grass or turf. But I'm not out there running full speed and making cuts, so I can't really give you a proper assessment of that. But I know guys most of the time prefer grass over turf.
Anything else?
Thanks, yeah.